one of the fundamentals of FluidAxis is that it allows the foot to move naturally. So allowing the foot to move naturally, allowing the foot to do what it normally does. So that was the fundamental story behind it. Now, let me show you something which the background of the story is that traditionally and today, footwear is built, the simple story around the ankle joint rotation. So footwear has been designed to sort of make this motion. Just a simple movement around the ankle axis, as you can see with my pen here. And then we would, for example, add a stability device to that shoe, and you have a structured cushioning shoe. We went back to the fundamentals with some of our advisors, like Matthias and with Simon Bartel. We said, hey, how can we re-look at how we build shoes? So we say, actually, the ankle joint movement is just a limiting point of view on how you want to build shoes. So we looked at something else. What we did, we focused on the subtalar joint. And the subtalar joint is what you see here on the screen in the little red spot. Subtalar joint, located roughly here, rotates around a different axis. So the subtalar joint has a rotation axis, and actually you can see pretty well here on this big poster. It starts here in the lateral heel, and it goes straight through the foot and comes out in the medial forefoot. That is the rotation axis of the subtalar joint. And the rotation of that axis is far more important for running motion than the rotation of the ankle joint. So if you would look at the shoe, I'll show it to all of you. Looking at this axis, so if I show it to you like this, the axis would go like this. The rotation of the foot and the shoe would be like this. So, pronation, supination. And that's what was the fundamental part of what we wanted to use for FluidAxis. So FluidAxis is a story built around the rotation around the subtalar joint axis. So this rotation, if you look at the shoe. So this rotation in running motion. And pronation and supination are a fundamental part of how the body takes care of natural cushioning when you're running. So pronation at heel striking for the stance and resupination at toe off. So that is the fundamental idea of how we want to build shoes in a different way. So acknowledging the rotation around the subtalar joint axis. Okay, so how did we do that? Here's the shoe. And now it's a bit tricky, I have to put the clicker inside here. So here's the shoe. You see a similar execution of the product as I have here. The most important part of this technology is the axis that you see on the screen. So I'll show it here in the shoe as well with the pen. The axis that you see, the big groove that goes through the outsole, midsole construction, from the lateral heel to the medial forefoot. That is exactly the same axis that you see when you rotate the foot around the subtalar joint axis. So we mimic exactly the same axis in the structure of the shoe. Now, what this does together with these two grooves that you see here is it decouples the shoe when you strike the ground on the heel or on the midfoot. So when you strike the ground and when your foot starts to pronate, the structure of this shoe will completely adapt to how your foot is moving. So the structure of the shoe will acknowledge the pronation that you are creating as a runner. So that's the first part, and that's the most important part. So let me just try to repeat it. Also on this side. The axis is completely in sync with the rotation axis of the subtalar joint. You see that the groove starts at the lateral heel and ends in the medial forefoot. Together with these two big grooves that allow for a big decoupling of the heel and midfoot area, the shoe will allow you to pronate as you go through gait, and it will adapt to that pronation. Now what we did then, after those axes, is we added a fan type of construction of grooves in the forefoot, exactly how you would want them to, because after you come from a midfoot stance, you resupinate a toe. So the fan type of grooves that you see in the forefoot help you and allow you to resupinate the toe. So that is the fundamental idea about FluidAxis, the new footwear geometry.